Have you ever woken up in the middle of a relationship and realized that you are the only one doing the heavy lifting? You are the one who always sends the first text, the one who plans the dates, the one who apologizes after an argument, and the one who constantly worries about the future of the connection. It feels as though you are running a race with a partner who is just sitting down on the track watching you run. In relationship psychology, a one-sided dynamic is rarely a sudden accident. It is a slow behavioral shift where one person gradually takes over all the responsibilities while the other person completely steps back. To the person doing all the work, it feels like they are being generous and loving, but to the psychologist, it reveals an imbalance of power and a loss of attraction. Today, we are going to look at the real reasons why relationships become one-sided. We will explore the trap of overfunctioning, the danger of being too available, and the behavioral trends that turn a beautiful partnership into a frustrating job. By the end of this talk, you will understand the invisible rules that govern relationship balance, helping you stop overinvesting so you can rebuild your self-respect and see if your partner is truly willing to stand up and walk beside you. Most people move through relationships on instinct, reacting, assuming, repeating. But a few choose something different. They pause, they observe, they understand. If you're the kind of person who questions patterns instead of blindly following them, who wants clarity instead of confusion, awareness instead of reaction, then you're exactly where you need to be. This isn't about taking sides. It's about seeing things for what they are, without distortion, without ego. If that mindset speaks to you, subscribe and stay connected. Add your perspective in the comments. The conversation matters here. Background work. No narratives. Just deeper understanding and better decisions. To understand why a relationship becomes one-sided, we must look at a fundamental psychological pattern called overfunctioning and underfunctioning. In any pair of human beings, there is a natural balance of energy. When a relationship starts to face problems or stress, people react based on their habits. An overfunctioner is a person who handles anxiety by doing more. They take control, they fix things, they give advice, and they try to manage the other person's emotions. An underfunctioner is a person who handles anxiety by doing less. They become passive, they stay quiet, they let the other person make all the decisions, and they step back. The dangerous truth is that the more the overfunctioner does, the less the underfunctioner feels they need to do. By jumping in to fix every small silence or every minor problem, you are subconsciously teaching your partner that they don't have to put in any effort. You are creating a dependency, and over time, your partner simply stops trying because they know you will always carry the weight for both of you. Another critical factor is the trap of total availability. Many people believe that showing a partner they are always there, no matter what, is the ultimate sign of love. But behavioral observations show that when you are 100% available, your psychological value begins to drop. This is tied to the concept of scarcity. Humans naturally value things that are limited, hard to get, or require effort to maintain. If you answer every phone call on the first ring, cancel your own plans with your friends the moment your partner asks to see you, and tolerate poor behavior without setting any boundaries, you remove all the challenge from the relationship. Your partner stops seeing you as an equal individual with a separate, exciting life. Instead, they start seeing you as a permanent fixture in their life, like a piece of furniture that will always be there exactly where they left it. When there is no fear of losing you, there is no motivation for them to invest their own energy to keep you. Let's look at the story of a man named Jason. Jason met a woman he liked very much, and he wanted to make sure she never left him. From the very first month, Jason did everything. He would drive an hour to her house just to bring her coffee. He bought her expensive gifts for no reason, and whenever she was in a bad mood, he would spend days apologizing and trying to make her smile, even when he had done nothing wrong. Jason thought he was building a strong bond. But after a year, he noticed that she never called him first, she never asked how his work was going, and she would frequently cancel their dates at the last minute without a real excuse. Jason became angry and asked her why she was being so selfish. This led to a huge fight, and she eventually left him, saying she just didn't feel the spark anymore. Jason's mistake was that he did not understand the data of human behavior. By overinvesting from day one, he never gave her the opportunity to miss him, to choose him, or to work for his attention. He treated himself like a low-value option, so she treated him exactly the same way. Jason learned the hard way that you cannot buy attraction by sacrificing your own boundaries. We must also discuss the psychological concept known as the principle of least interest. This observation states that the person who cares less about the relationship ending always holds the most power. In a balanced relationship, both people care equally, so the power is shared. But when one person becomes terrified of a breakup, they begin to overcompromise. They accept less affection, less communication, and less respect just to keep the peace. When your partner notices that you are afraid to walk away, their brain registers that they can get all the benefits of your love without paying any of the emotional costs. They stop making an effort because they simply don't have to. A one-sided relationship is often maintained by the fear of one partner who prefers to live with the crumbs of a connection rather than face the temporary loneliness of standing alone. Another behavioral trend that causes a relationship to lean to one side is the correction cycle. This happens when one partner constantly coaches, reminds, or criticizes the other person to get them to participate. You might find yourself saying things like, "Why don't you ever buy me flowers?" Or, "You never ask me about my day." While these statements come from a place of deep hurt, psychologically they function as nagging. When you demand investment, any investment you receive doesn't feel real. If your partner finally buys you a gift because you argued about it for 3 days, your brain doesn't see it as a sign of love. It sees it as a chore they did just to make you stop talking. This kills the joy for both people. True investment must be voluntary. If you have to beg for a basic level of care, you are already playing a losing game. Observations of human behavior also highlight the resentment accumulation. When you are the only one giving, you initially tell yourself that you are doing it because you are a good partner. But over time, the unpaid emotional bills start to pile up in your mind. Every time you give and receive nothing in return, a small seed of bitterness is planted in your heart. You begin to keep score, even if you don't say it out loud. This bitterness changes your tone of voice, your body language, and your facial expressions. You become passive-aggressive, and your partner responds by pulling even further away because they feel the negative energy radiating from you. The relationship becomes a cold war where one person is exhausted from giving and the other person is defensive from being blamed. To fix a one-sided dynamic, you must have the courage to implement a psychological strategy called strategic withdrawal. This does not mean playing games, pulling a face, or acting childishly. It means calmly and quietly stepping back to your own lane. You stop doing the things that are your partner's job to do. If they don't text you, you don't text them to ask why they are silent. If they don't plan the weekend, you make your own plans with your friends or focus on your hobbies. You must give the relationship space to reveal its true condition. When you step back, one of two things will happen. Either your partner will notice the coldness, feel the space, and step forward to fill it because they truly value you, or they will stay exactly where they are and let the relationship fade away. Both outcomes are a win for you. If your partner steps forward, you learn that the relationship can be saved through balance. If your partner stays passive and lets you go, you receive the brutal but necessary data that they were only there because it was easy and comfortable for them. They were not invested in you. They were invested in the convenience of what you were providing. Knowing the truth is always better than living a lie. It allows you to stop wasting your precious life force on a dead connection and starts the process of saving your energy for someone who will see your investment and match it with their own. High-value individuals understand that a relationship is a bridge that must be built from both sides. You can build your half with honor, love, and dedication, but the moment you start crossing over to build their half too, you lose your footing. You must stand firmly on your side of the bridge and wait for them to meet you in the middle. Your value as a human being is too high to be spent on someone who treats you like an option. Keep your standards clear, watch the behavioral patterns, and never be afraid to choose the peace of your own company over the slow torture of a one-sided love. We have looked at how overfunctioning creates a passive partner and how being too available drops your psychological value. When you carry the entire weight of a connection, you are not saving it, you are slowly draining your own self-respect. Now, we must look at the second half of this psychological dynamic. We will examine how to break this cycle permanently, how to recognize the difference between a partner who is temporarily tired and one who is truly indifferent, and how to protect your emotional energy moving forward. In relationship psychology, there is a concept called the habit of accommodation. When a relationship stays one-sided for a long time, the passive partner starts to believe that your high level of effort is simply the baseline of the relationship. They do not see your extra work as a gift. They see it as your duty. If you suddenly stop doing everything, they will often become angry or confused, accusing you of changing or being distant. This reaction is a natural behavioral trend. They are protesting the loss of a privilege they did not earn. To navigate this phase, you must remain calm and not let their complaints pull you back into your old habits of overworking. If this is hitting, it's because you're not here for noise. You're here to understand. Most people react. Few people step back and actually think. This space is for those who question before they conclude and look deeper instead of louder. If that's how you move, subscribe and stay tapped in. Drop your perspective below. That's where the real conversations happen. Clarity over confusion. Awareness over assumption. Now let's go deeper. To truly heal a one-sided dynamic, you must understand the psychological difference between sacrifice and investment. Investment is when you give your time and energy into a relationship because there is a mutual return. You give care and you receive care. Sacrifice is when you destroy your own needs, your hobbies, and your self-respect to keep another person comfortable while receiving nothing in return. High-value individuals do not sacrifice themselves for a connection that refuses to grow. They watch the behavioral data. If the data shows that your partner only moves forward when you pull them, it is time to stop pulling. Let's look at a story of awareness and positive transformation featuring a woman named Amanda. Amanda was in a marriage where she felt completely alone. She managed the finances, organized all family events, and constantly tried to create romantic moments with her husband. Her husband was passive, preferred to watch television, and rarely spoke unless he needed something. Amanda felt her resentment growing every day. Instead of crying or picking another fight, Amanda decided to look at her own behavior. She realized that by doing everything, she was treating her husband like a child who couldn't take care of himself. Amanda made a quiet decision to step back. She stopped managing his personal schedule, stopped planning dates, and used her free time to enroll in an evening photography class. At first, her husband was confused and missed several appointments because Amanda wasn't reminding him. But after a few weeks of experiencing the real consequences of his own passivity, he looked at Amanda and realized she was creating a life that did not depend on him. He felt the space she had left, and he chose to step into it. He started planning weekend dinners and asking her about her classes. This positive outcome happened because Amanda stopped begging for partnership and instead created the structural necessity for it. She learned that boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but gates that show people how to walk in correctly. Observations of human behavior suggest that many people stay in one-sided relationships because they are caught in the sunk cost fallacy. This is a psychological trap where you continue to invest in a losing situation simply because you have already spent a lot of time, money, or emotion there. You tell yourself, "I can't leave now. I've spent 5 years with this person." But psychology reminds us that you cannot get your past 5 years back by wasting the next 5 years. The time you spent is gone. Your only real choice is how you spend the future. If the relationship dynamic does not change after you step back and set clear boundaries, staying only increases the price you pay for someone else's indifference. Another behavioral trend to observe is the test of absence. When you truly stop initiating contact or planning interactions, it acts as a diagnostic tool for the relationship. If days pass and your partner does not notice or does not care to reach out, the relationship is already over in their mind. They just haven't told you yet. Accepting this truth is difficult, but it liberates you from the torture of uncertainty. It allows you to mourn the loss of what you thought you had, so you can finally clear the space for what you actually deserve. We must also talk about reclaiming your center. When you have been an overfunctioner for a long time, your mind is constantly projecting outward, trying to read your partner's face, mood, and thoughts. You lose connection with your own body and your own desires. To heal, you must pull your energy back into your own body. Ask yourself, what do I need today? What are my goals? What brings me joy outside of this person? When you move your center of gravity back to yourself, you stop being a satellite orbiting their life and become the sun of your own world. In the end, relationships become one-sided because we allow them to stay that way. We accept the unequal balance because we are afraid of the alternative. But true power comes from knowing that your love is a premium currency. It should never be given away for free to someone who treats it like cheap water. Be proud of your capacity to love deeply, but be equally proud of your capacity to protect that love with fierce boundaries and unshakable self-respect. Making it to this point says more than you think. Most people skim the surface. They hear just enough to react, but not enough to understand. You stayed, which means you're willing to sit with ideas, to question patterns, and to see things more clearly than most. That's where real growth begins. If this perspective gave you something to think about, stay connected. Subscribe, and be part of a space where we don't rush to judge. We learn to understand. Leave your thoughts below, not to argue, but to add depth to the conversation. Keep sharpening your awareness. I'll meet you in the next one.